Hi everyone and welcome to Germany for Student channel. Today is lesson number 20 of A2 level of German language course, and today we are going to cover an important topic of thus, which is used to combine Hauptsatz with the Nebensatz. So it is the use of this thus that we combine a Hauptsatz with a Nebensatz. In Hauptsatz, we can have a simple sentence where we have a subject at the first position, verb at the second position, which is conjugated according to the subject. And then we have an object. Uh, in place of object, we can have one adjective, one preposition, or anything else. But it's also possible that in Hauptsatz, we may have a perfect tense where we use the participle y form of the verb, or it's also possible that we have a Hauptsatz that consists of modal verb and a main verb. And in this case, we have to use the sentence structure of modal verb. But now we will concentrate on the Nebensatz because Nebensatz will start with thus conjugation. It will be followed by a subject. So subject will come soon after the thus conjugation. Then comes object. In place of object, it can be preposition or adjective, and the main verb of the sentence will come at the last position of the sentence, and it will be conjugated according to the subject of the sentence. And here with subject, I mean the subject of the Nebensatz. So we will be having two verbs, one in the Hauptsatz, one in the Nebensatz, and both verbs will be conjugated according to the subjects that have in the either Hauptsatz and the Nebensatz. So let's start with the sentences and examples and see that in which situation we can use this thus conjugation. First example is es ist wichtig, dass du jeden Tag Deutsch lernst. First, we look at the Hauptsentence or the Hauptsatz, which is es ist wichtig. It's important. Now, what is important, we don't know. And in order to know this, what is important, we have to make a Nebensatz. And in this situation where we have to explain our saying in the Hauptsatz with another sentence, we use thus. So let's use this thus conjugation and see what is important here. Thus du jeden Tag Deutsch lernst, that you learn German language every day. So it's important that you learn German language every day. Thus it comes at the first position, then it is followed by a subject, which is du in this sentence. Jeden Tag Deutsch, and lernst comes at the last position of the Nebensatz, and it is conjugated according to the subject of the Nebensatz, which is du. So infinitive form of lernst is lernen, but here we have to conjugate it according to the subject of Nebensatz. So lernen becomes lernst. And another important thing here you have to consider here is that we have to separate Hauptsatz with a Nebensatz with the help of a comma, and after comma we have to use a space. So it's also important that we use this space after comma. Es ist nicht nötig, it's not required. Dass wir so früh ins Büro kommen. So what is not required? In order to get to know this, we have to use Nebensatz, and Nebensatz will start with thus conjugation, then comes subject wir so früh ins Büro. Ins is the short form of in das Büro, and common is the verb which is used at the last position of the sentence, and it has to be conjugated according to the subject of sentence. Subject of sentence is wir, so common remains common. Es ist unmöglich, dass die Prüfung nicht besteht. It's impossible. Now, what is impossible? In order to know this, we have to make another sentence. And in this situation where we have to explain or elaborate what is said in the Haupt sentence, then we have to use thus. Thus er die Prüfung nicht besteht. Thus that he does not pass the exam. It's impossible that he doesn't pass the exam. Es ist normal, dass die Kinder eine neue Sprache sehr schnell lernen. Es ist normal, it's normal. What is normal? Then we have to use Nebensatz, and in this situation, Nebensatz will start with thus, and then comes the subject of sentence, which is die Kinder eine neue Sprache. This is the object of the sentence, Sprache, and since object of sentence is in accusative case, therefore we have to use indefinite article for a feminine noun Sprache from the accusative case, which is eine, and neue here is adjective which is in accusative case, so we have to use the ending of adjective for a feminine noun Sprache from the accusative case, which is neue. Sehr schnell, schnell is adjective here, and lernen is the verb here, which is conjugated according to the subject, die Kinder. Sie hofft, dass sie heute ihr Visum erhält. She hopes, what does she hope? She hopes that she gets her visa today. Again, thus is at first position. Sie is the subject of sentence which comes soon after thus. Then comes heute, which means today. Ihr Visum erhält. Erhalten is a German verb which comes at the last position and is conjugated according to the subject sie. So erhalten becomes erhält. Sagt, dass heute wieder zurückfliegt. He says, now what does he say? In order to know this, we have to have a Nebensatz that will start with thus heute wieder zurückfliegt, that today he flies back again. Again, the subject is which comes after thus, and zurückfliegen, which means to fly back, and it is conjugated according to the subject so it becomes zurückfliegt. Now let's see that what will be the sentence structure of the Nebensatz if we are using a modal verb in the Nebensatz. I have kept the Hauptsatz same as it is, but we have to see that if Hauptsatz has also modal verb, or if Hauptsatz is in perfect tense, then we follow the respective sentence structure. Here we are focusing only on the Nebensatz having modal verb in it with the conjugation thus. So in this case, thus will come soon after the comma, after a space, then comes subject and object. Here again, in place of object, there can be a preposition, there can be adjective, etc. Until here, we are following the same sentence structure. Then comes verb, and at the last position, modal verb will come. So modal verb that comes at the last position will be conjugated according to the subject of sentence. And we know that every time we use modal verb in our sentence, the main verb will remain in infinitive form. So gehen will remain gehen, irrespective of what is the subject of the sentence, because we are using modal verb here, and modal verb will be conjugated according to the subject of the sentence. So let's look at these examples where we have a modal verb in our Nebensatz. Er schreibt, he writes. What does he write? We have to explain this in Nebensatz, and Nebensatz will start with thus conjugation. Dass ich ihn vom Flughafen abholen soll, that I should pick him up from the airport. So thus comes at the first position, then comes subject, ich, and then comes object, which is ihn, that I should pick him up. So him, which is the personal pronoun for he, third person singular, Then comes Form Flughafen. Form is the short form of phone dem, because phone is a dative preposition, so we have to use definite article for Flughafen from a dative case, which is dem, and phone dem. Instead of using phone dem, we can use the short form, which is form. Then comes the verb, which is abholen. So abholen will remain in infinitive form, because we are using a modal verb here, which is conjugated according to the subject ish. So Zolan becomes Zol and abholen remains abholen. Next example, er hat geschrieben. He has written. What he has written will be explained in the next part of the sentence, which is the Nebensatz. And in this kind of situation where we have to explain the first sentence with the help of another sentence, we use thus conjugation. Thus er mit mir die Stadt besichtigen möchte. That he wants to visit or view city with me. Now, thus comes at the first position, then comes er, which is the subject of sentence, mit mir, with me. So mit is a dative preposition again. Therefore, we have to use mir, die Stadt, because city will be seen. So it is the object of sentence, and object of sentence is always in accusative case. Then comes besichtigen, which means to view. Besichtigen will remain besichtigen because we are using modal verb möchten, and it is conjugated according to the subject of sentence er, so it becomes möchte. So we are following the same sentence structure that we learned in the previous slide. As ist gut, it's good. What is good? For that, we have to make Nebensatz with thus. Dass man mit dem Zug fahren kann. That one can travel with the train. Thus, and man come soon after thus, mit dem Zug. Now, mit is a dative preposition and Zug is a masculine noun. So we have to use definite article for a masculine noun Zug from dative case, which is dem. Then comes verb, which is fahren. So fahren will remain fahren. We will not conjugate it because the conjugated verb is the modal verb können, and it has conjugated according to the subject man and becomes kann and comes at the last position of the sentence. Er hat gesagt, he has said. What he has said, we have to tell with the help of Nebensatz. Dass er schwimmen kann, that he can swim. Again, same sentence structure, same logic. Ich finde gut, dass alle Kinder in die Schule gehen müssen. I find it good. What do I find good is that all the kids have to go to the school. So thus, and then comes alle Kinder, which is the subject of sentence, in die Schule. In is a two-way preposition, and we have learned in the previous lessons that if there is a movement in the sentence, then in preposition will act like accusative case. So we will use definite article die for a feminine noun Schule here. Then comes the verb gehen. So it will remain gehen because we are using a modal verb, which is at the last position of the sentence and is conjugated according to the subject of sentence. Now let's look at the situations where we have perfect tense in the Nebensatz. In Hauptsatz, I have kept the same sentence structure, but if we have Nebensatz which has perfect tense, then we have to follow the perfect tense structure for thus in as a Nebensatz. So in this case, the Nebensatz will start with thus, then comes subject, then comes object, and then comes the participe y form of verb. What is the participe y form of verb? We have learned it in A1 level of German language course. And at the last position, we have to use either haben or sein verb, and we have to conjugate sein or haben verb according to the subject of the Nebensatz. And we have to use participle zwei form of the verb. Now, these concepts we have already learned in A1 level of German language course, so I am not going into the details. Let's look at the examples. Hat gesehen, dass ich die Fahrkarte nicht gekauft habe. He has seen. What has he seen? Now, in this sentence, you can see that the Hauptsatz is also in the perfect tense. Hat gesehen. Gesehen is the participle zwei form of the sehen verb. And here we have followed the same sentence structure that we have learned in A1 level of German language course, where we were learning the perfect tense. Now, look at the Nebensatz. What has he seen? Dass ich die Fahrkarte nicht gekauft habe. That I haven't purchased the traveling ticket, or I haven't purchased the ticket. If we look at the sentence structure, thus is the first position. Second position we have allocated to the subject of the sentence, which is ich. Then comes object, die Fahrkarte. Die Fahrkarte is object of sentence because it is being purchased. And we know that the object of sentence is always accusative case. So we will use the definite article die for Fahrkarte, which is a feminine noun. Nicht gekauft. Gekauft is the participle zwei form of kaufen. And habe is the conjugated form of haben for the subject ich. So here we have conjugated haben verb according to the subject ich, and we have used the participle zwei form of main verb. Glaubt, he believes, or he thinks. What does he think? We have to create or make Nebensatz for that. Dass keinen Fehler gemacht hat. He thinks that he hasn't made any mistake. Again, thus is the starting point or the first position of the Nebensatz. Then comes which is the subject of sentence. Then comes Fehler, and we are negating a noun. Therefore, we are using keinen Fehler because Fehler is object of sentence, which is accusative case. Therefore, we have to use the ending for kein in accusative case for a masculine noun Fehler, which is keinen. Then comes the participle zwei form of machen, which is gemacht, and haben is conjugated according to subject and it becomes hat, and we have used it at the last position of the sentence. Es tut mir leid, dass ich die Prüfung nicht bestanden habe. I apologize or I feel sorry. For what I feel sorry? That I haven't passed the exam. Again, thus comes at first position. At second position, we have subject, which is ich. Die Prüfung is the object of sentence, and it is in accusative case. Then we are negating. Therefore, we have used nicht. And then comes bestanden. Bestanden is the participle zwei form of bestehen. And at the last position of the sentence, we have used haben verb, and we have conjugated it according to the subject ich. So it becomes habe. So this is the use of thus conjugation. We have seen the sentence structure. We have used the sentence structure with examples and how we can make subordinate clause or the Nebensatz with the help of thus conjugation. I hope the lesson is clear to you. If you have any question, you can put it in the comment, and if you haven't subscribed my channel, please do it now so that you can get the updates about the upcoming videos. Thank you for watching the video. Bye.